The draft, conscription, these are words that put the fear of into the hearts of many men in the mid-60s. That means the draft. It's how the Army built itself up in the early part of the Vietnam War. They needed people in the Army and wasn't enough volunteers, so they went to the draft, and which was already established, and got people into the Army that way. You come home from work one day, you have a letter addressed to you that says, "Greetings, you now belong to Uncle Sam. You are now in the Army. Report to such and such a place on such and such a day, and don't bring anything, just bring yourself and we'll take care of everything." And that's what happened to me. Shipped out to San Antonio somewhere around September 22nd or so, 1965. I was about 20 years old. I was working at an oil company downtown Corpus Christi, and I had my life ahead of me. Of course, we knew the draft was a possibility. But there I am off to Louisiana. Episode 1, I talked about my first few days at the camp. And so this is chapter 1, episode 2. And we're going to read some more letters to you. My memory only goes so far. This was like 55 years ago, and a lot of the things that I'm reading to you about, I don't remember. And that's very interesting to me. So, this is October 16th. I wrote a letter to my sister and brother-in-law, Jeannie and Johnny Cotton. You wanted to know how the Army was treating us. Well, I'd rather be a civilian, and so would everyone in our platoon. Actually, isn't really so bad, especially on the weekends when we usually don't work. On weekdays, we run a mile in the mornings and march to classes. We have physical training during the day and attend classes on military law and other military subjects. At night, we have 1 man per hour for 8 hours post a fire guard because these wood frame billets will burn to the ground in 12.5 minutes. And they're not kidding about that either. They were old and they were brittle. I get fire guard about once every other night. Next 2 weeks, we'll be out on the firing range learning how to shoot the M14 rifle. I don't yet really know where Fort Polk, Louisiana is for sure, but it is about 10 miles from Leesville, Louisiana, so you can find it from there. I will be here 8 weeks in basic and 2 weeks in pre-basic time. I have been in the Army 4 weeks, but only 2 weeks of basic are over with. I will be leaving November 27th and will head straight for my next assignment. For 2 weeks, next assignment would be my advanced school. You usually get out of basic and they decide what kind of a soldier you're going to be, and then they send you to the next assignment. And that was what was up in the air at that point. I will receive 2-week leave during the Christmas holidays. I can have company on weekends only because there wouldn't be enough time on weekdays to have a good visit. But by the time you are on leave, I will be allowed to go off base, I hope. And maybe we can go off post somewhere. I sure would rather go off post with you rather than these drunks that are around here. About 3/4 of the men in the platoon went to the PX and got drunk and drank 15 or more beers and are stoned out of their minds right now. And at the time, I wasn't a drinking man, so that didn't make sense to me. The trip to Colorado and Wyoming was fabulous. I don't remember this, but apparently we took a vacation right before I went in the Army, knowing that I'd be gone for a while. And apparently we went to Yellowstone. I really enjoyed it because I would go find where the kids my age were and go and join them with them and really have a good time with them. There was a coffee house in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, that was really cool. And I met some real nice kids there that lived in the town. Yellowstone is really beautiful country if you ever get near it. About 2,000 miles or less. You should go there, for it is well worth it. Bill, he's my new nephew, he was just a child. Bill sure is a cute baby and smart. He lived in Arvada, Colorado. And smart too. He really impressed me, for he really acted like a little man. There is something you can pray for me about, and that is I have qualified for officer candidate school, and I have to decide whether or not to go to it or not. I will go after I complete basic and advanced individual training. I have also filled out an application to be a chaplain's assistant, which would be a receptionist and driver for a chaplain. I know that Johnny went to OCS, so I would like to know your ideas on the subject. It would last 6 months, and they say it's rough. During school, I would receive E5 pay grade, so please let me know what you think about it. Being an officer would mean an extra year of service, but if I fail, there is no extra time attached to my 2 years. The one thing I really have enjoyed in the Army has been chapel services. They are really quite good where I am at. Please make one correction to my address. The third line should read, Training Brigade. Love in Christ, Donnie. So that was kind of interesting. That was my brother-in-law. Next one is to Mom and Dad. This is October 17th. A Sunday, looks like. 1965. Dear Mom and Dad, I sure enjoyed calling home yesterday. It is nice to hear a voice from home again. It is these calls and letters that keep me going strong here. I have gotten a letter or a package or both every day since that first letter from you, from somebody. And from somebody, I guess. I wrote Jean and Johnny a long letter last night, and I wrote Charlie and Janet. Charlie was my best friend, and Janet and Glenn last week. The only time I get to write in is on the weekends. I went to chapel this morning and heard a good sermon. Going to the chapel sure is helpful to me because it gives me strength. I do miss the Christians at home, and there doesn't appear to be any here at all. Maybe I'll find some soon. I pulled a tendon in my ankle the first week in training and finally went to the doctor Friday morning. He gave me an ace bandage to wrap my foot with. The bandage helped considerably, and although I only have worn it 1.5 days, it doesn't hurt me anymore. But I'll wear it for a while longer so it won't pull out again. The weather here has been clear but relatively cool, and we haven't had a really hot day yet. I hope I don't get asthma the first time it gets cold here. I can see why it would be bad for asthma here because it's so damp. When I was in that age period, every time a norther would come through here in Corpus Christi, I would get sick. Every time it'd be asthma and other things, but something would blow me in on that north wind. It would get me every time. So I was really worried about that. One man from Las Vegas, Nevada really suffers for asthma and other chest ailments. He can't work a lick. He's getting out next week. I'll be out on that rifle range for the next 2 weeks, and after that I don't know what to expect. Tomorrow we'll get our papers for OCS and begin filling them out. I want to be an officer for several reasons. 1, better pay. 2, better living quarters. 3, more prestige. 4, better chance for advancement. And 5, better company. And 6, it sounds better on a job application to have been an officer than an enlisted man. Well, that's all the news from here. Love, Donnie. That was interesting. Dear Mom and Dad, this is October 23rd. I received your letters on the 21st and the 23rd of October. I didn't get a letter all week until Thursday. Enclosed is a picture of me that was taken in the first week of the Army. I have some 8x10s also, and I may send them home to save getting them bent. I got a letter from Charlie and Don last week, and they say they're about to get drafted, and they got their 1A classifications. Don and Charlie were my best friends. Don Van Arsdale and Charlie Ulrich. And they were my high school buddies. And so we were all kind of facing the same thing in those days. Miss Miller, who's our was the draft lady in Nueces County, Miss Miller told them to expect the worst. I told them to do their best on their test, and maybe they would qualify for OCS also. Friday, we went to the procurement office to be oriented and to get our application papers for OCS. Please fill out the enclosed personal history for me. We are including the county where my birth certificate is registered, and 5 character references. I have to turn this and another form in to apply for OCS. All last week we were on the firing range, and it was a lot of fun. I thought the rifle would kick a lot, but you don't feel a thing, just a little jerk. I did quite good on the range, and I am hoping for a 3-day pass. I have a feeling that we're using light loads in those the bullets we were shooting, because those kind of rifles do kick, and this one didn't kick, so I think that we're using very light loads. If I do good enough next week, we'll be firing at pop-up human-sized targets at 50, 200, and 350 meter range. It took me a while to keep from being afraid of the rifle, but now I have good control over it. They teach you everything you have to do to fire it right, and just by listening, one can learn to be an expert rifleman. There's been a change in my leave status. I will be coming home as soon as I leave basic training, rather than going someplace for 2 weeks and then home. This means that I won't be home for Christmas. After all, I hope they change their minds again. Well, here it is, Sunday again, and the only day of the week that I can get some sleep. Went to sleep at 9 last night and got up this morning at 8. We can eat breakfast anytime from 8 until 11 this morning, and then go to church at 8, 9, or 10 a.m. We have always had Saturday afternoon and Sunday off, and we can go anywhere on the post. Next weekend, some of us will be getting weekend passes, and if I get one, some weekend, I think I'll go to Houston and see Terry Cooper. Could you please get me Terry's address in Houston so I can write her? In the Army, I'll be able to travel cheap because I can get half fare on most transportation systems, so I can go a lot of places. I will be graduating November 27th, so if you want to come for it, make plans to come Friday night, the 26th, because graduation is on Saturday morning, and then we can leave that afternoon. I don't know if I can leave with you or not yet, but I'll find out. That's all the news I can think of right now, so we'll see you soon. P.S. Thank you for the money you sent me. It will help me a lot because I won't have to cash a check. I haven't cashed one yet. I did get paid $18 on the 21st, and that helped a lot. Isn't that funny? Money was not a real big thing in those days. Didn't make much money, that's for sure. About the same time. Basic training, this is Gene and Johnny. Dear Gene and Johnny, basic training is almost over now, and I guess I'll make it okay. Monday will start our 7th week, and it's going to be a bear. We will have a bunch of long marches and a lot of combat firing of our rifles. The 8th week will be the mostly testing and practicing our precision marching for graduation. I will graduate on Saturday, November 27th, and my leave will begin that day. Mom and Dad are coming up to see my graduation and then to take me home. I have to report back here the 11th of December for my advanced individual training in infantry. Although I signed an application to be a chaplain's assistant, I didn't get it. They say they need them badly also. After infantry training, I will train in I will turn in a 1049 form for a change of MOS or job, and then they say they may train me for chaplain's assistant at that point. The wind is getting me today. I haven't decided if I should apply for officer candidate school or not. It means an extra year in the service, but it would be much better as an officer than an enlisted man. The main thing is I want to get out of here and go back to school. I've really learned my lesson about school and how good of a life I really had and can have if I buckle down and study. It will be real nice if you get to go home during Christmas. I will get 5 or 6 days during Christmas also, so I'll get to fly home and see you. It's been a long time since I have seen you. Johnny was in the Navy, and he was getting out about the time that I was going in. If you write me again, send it home to Corpus, because I won't be at this address much longer. Donnie. So as I'm getting close to the end of my training, looking forward to my next assignment, it ended up being a chaplain's assistant training in Fort Ord, California. So this ends the second episode, chapter 1, episode number 2. My next episode will be chapter 2, advanced training at Fort Ord, California. And we'll go back to that. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe my channel and get all these different podcasts. I hope you like them, enjoy them. They get better as we go through this because it gets more interesting. I know this is a little dull at the beginning here, so stick with me and you'll see. Thank you very much for watching. Bye, y'all.